Yeah. All right. So how you doing then?
I'm all good. I'm all good. You okay?
Yeah, it's really good to meet you. It's weird because I told so people always ask me who's coming on the podcast next, and I said, well, Jay from the guy who does all the pub quizzes, and they said, no way, me and my family did all those, and it's good to have you here, man.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure. I love doing these because whenever I've done a different podcast, it always opens up something new in my
Yeah,
brain, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So
definitely.
I don't feel like I'm talking about the same thing all the time. It's always something different with everyone. And then I also remember a lot of things from my past and childhood as well, which is always quite interesting when that comes through.
Nice, good. So I don't know. First, tell me about how this all started then, 'cause I've heard a crazy
Um,
story.
Yeah, it was a big, massive accident and how it all started. So when they said that the pubs were shutting down, I was disappointed because Thursday night was my one night out of the week with my friends. We'd go to a quiz night and we'd have a laugh. And we're not ones for falling out of nightclubs at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, for us, a good night out is really sad, but sat around the table thinking about quiz questions and having a couple
No,
of
definitely.
drinks.
Good, that's good. I love a night out with like cards and stuff.
That was it. As a good friend of mine, we used to sit on a Wednesday night and play cribbage. That classic card game. That's how boring my life really is. um, so when they said that we can't do that anymore, I thought, well, what am I going to do on a Thursday night now? So I just set up an event on my own personal Facebook and said, I've got half a brain cell. I've run quiz nights before. I might just do something fun for us, for
Mm.
the quiz teams that I've hosted in Darwin and quiz teams I played against. So, and just left it at that. And the short story is it then went out of control. And by the time, within less than a week of me setting that event up and the first quiz coming around on the 26th of March last year,
Mm.
there were over 500,000 people interested in the event on
That's
Facebook.
ridiculous.
um, I always wonder how these things, you see these things go massively viral. Well, how do they get from where that person started to exploding? Well, now I know, just absolutely
Just like that.
insane. Yeah, it was just insane. And that first quiz, because I wasn't expecting anything, we hadn't really planned or prepared for anything. So there were a lot. I mean, I wrote 50 questions. That was the best I could do. But other than going live on YouTube and Facebook, that was all I knew. And there was a lot of press and stuff, leading up to it. And then, sort of on the night, I mean, I had friends of mine saying, you've got over 150,000 people watching you on your Facebook stream. Then I had others going, you've got 100,000 people watching you on YouTube.
Wow.
And, we think, we can never say for definite, but we think from piecing together messages from friends of mine and stuff, there was about 300,000 people watched that first quiz, which is just
Insane.
insane. Well, that's 300,000. As I keep getting told this, that's 300,000 connections. There could have been two or three, two or
Exactly,
three
yeah.
people,
So at
and
least two or three times that amount.
yeah, and it's quite scary to think that people were just watching this idiot, sort of doing it. And I still thought it would be a one-off. I just thought people would go, "Oh yeah, that was fun. Right,
Mm.
what next?" And it just, for whatever reason,
Uh,
quizzing, and it wasn't just me. There was others as well, but it wasn't. It was just quizzing captured the imagination of people for
Definitely.
lockdown out of nowhere. No one in their right mind would normally go, "I know what we're going to do in lockdown. Let's just quiz all the way through lockdown."
But that's what's so good about it, like because it's something that the whole family can do together, and they can look forward to every week. And yeah, and especially during lockdown when you couldn't go out and do anything, it's just the kind of perfect combination.
Yeah, it just seemed to work. And at the end of that first one, I said, right, if anyone's interested, I've just created a proper Facebook page this time. It's not off my own personal one. If anyone's interested, come over and join. And we had 180,000 people like the Facebook page straight away. And
Wow.
as they say, the rest is history. We're still
History.
going strong.
Crazy numbers. What's that world record behind you?
So that's the only official audience figure we have. That is the Guinness World Record for most viewers of a live streamed quiz on YouTube.
Wow.
And that was for 182,513 connections. So again, could be two or three people watching each individual one on average. So
Crazy. So it's just all just skyrocketed so quickly. Is it has
yeah,
it
out
has it
of nowhere.
out of nowhere? Has it been quite overwhelming at times? For like quite pressurizing maybe?
Yeah, there's been, for me, from what, the idea just started to entertain sort of 20-30 people in Darwin, friends and family,
Mm.
to then be having hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people tuning in every week, especially through those first 2 lockdowns.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure on me to, not from other people, but I put pressure on myself to make sure we're making sure that we're entertaining people in the right way. I'm not turning up with 50 questions from Mensa or 50 questions that are basically, what's 1 + 1.
Right.
And very, very hard to try and, strike that balance, which I think I did very well. But, there were so many messages of people saying that they were isolating, or they were on their own, or they were getting together with their friends and family. And I felt, there was a lot of pressure on me to make sure that was continuing, because it felt like I was giving them, a reason to do it. And it was quite tricky to do. And obviously there were the bad sides of it, the trolls who really
always
not prepared for it. I never ever seek to be in the limelight unless it was a couple of drinks and doing karaoke on after a quiz night. That's the only time I really want.
Exactly. You can't prepare yourself for these kind of figures.
No, and this is what I kept saying to people. I'm not media trained. I'm not, I'm not a celebrity who, is in the limelight and, undeservingly gets trolls coming out all of a sudden. And there was some very nasty stuff, but you're not prepared for it. No one can prepare you for, going onto Twitter and reading some lovely, lovely comments, and then 2 or 3 that are really, really hurtful and quite painful. And as everyone kept saying to me, yeah, but look at it, out of 1,000 comments, you're getting 3 that are really nasty, but they're the ones that stick in your mind.
And did you find a way to kind of cope with that, or
stop going on social media?
The
early quizzes, I always had the YouTube live chat on because I like talking to people and engaging with the people who are watching. And in the end, I had to switch it off because it was affecting me. Because if a nasty comment had come through, I'd go from being, hey, this is really good. This is, all right, okay, yeah, fair enough, right, okay. Right. And it might just be something stupid as, I can't watch this anymore because of the ice clinking in his glass, down to really, really hurtful stuff. And so in the end, I just went, I can't read anything anymore. And, I've got a great person behind me with Alex in the early days, who was always on social media. So he would send me all the positive things that were on there, and not just like the odd 1 or 2. It was always the positive, have a look at this feed, it's got all these positive things on there. And that really helped, because once I stopped reading stuff that was negative, I could get on with, doing what I was doing, which was trying to entertain people and ask them quiz questions every week.
Great. And you did exactly that. You've done a great job at it as well, because like I said, friends, they couldn't believe that I was coming on talking to you today. They were like, every week, me and my family, we'd always sit down, like gather around and cup of tea on, do the quiz. And I just have to say, amazing job, mate. Really well done. So is it you and Alex, which are the main team? Because Alex was the one that reached out to me for us to get together.
Yeah, there's 3 of us now. So from the beginning, Alex reached out to me after the first quiz and originally just said, just wanted to get in touch and say, look, that first quiz was brilliant from what you did, but social media was chaotic. You had people with it was like 9 or 10 different hashtags on Twitter. He said, you just need to concentrate on a central hashtag. And that's it. So we got talking and we built a rapport, we built a relationship. We've now built a friendship. Nice. And he's been with me ever since. And I'm indebted to him because he is the one who he's got a massive brain inside of him and a brilliant heart. And he would always, when I was feeling low, he'd pick me up, like I say, send some of the positive stuff through. He would take a lot of the stuff away from me so I could concentrate on doing, what I needed to do with, writing quiz questions. But since then, I've had a very good friend of mine called Rebecca Beck Sagar, who's now joined the team as well. And she's brilliant with social media. So she comes up with so many crazy things that go on our social, and her ideas just keep coming from nowhere, and some of the things that she comes up with, and it keeps everyone engaged on social media. So she looks after that. Alex looks after all the behind the scenes stuff, and I carry on writing quiz. I mean, what we now Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? What day is it today?
I already, I don't know. I want to say
Wednesday. There we go.
Wednesday.
But yeah, I've already written, I think, nearly 400 odd questions this week,
Wow.
which I wouldn't be able to do without those two behind me.
And do you find, obviously, because you're writing so many questions all the time, do you find yourself just, say, when you're not writing questions, just looking around at things, going, "Oh, I could write a question about that." Does it interfere too much? Or...
No, it's actually very helpful. I've got a notepad that sits in my car. There's a notepad that I've always got on my desk, and my voice notes on my phone as well. I might be driving around and go, "Oh, I've not asked about that car brand. I've completely forgotten about it." Or I'll be in the supermarket and go, "Oh, that's a great logo for a picture quiz." Or
right.
listening to the radio, and there's a news, something in the news, and I go, "Oh, that's a great thing. I could turn that into a question."
Right. So you always got stuff coming in, just keeping you sharp, which is good.
Yeah, even when I was on holiday, I managed to get a break a few weeks ago, and 10 nights in the sunshine in Tenerife. And even then, I was walking around, sort of like there was a Lidl in Tenerife, and we were walking around. I'm going, "Oh wow, that's a great question, right?" And sort of putting it into my voice notes and stuff. So, yeah, I never switch off. Never switch off. That's a blessing and a curse at times, because I'm constantly doing it, but I'm also still it's still constantly working.
Oh, that's good. And do you have a plan for where you want to take this, or just going to keep going the way you're going and...
For me, I've said the Thursday night live quiz will carry on no matter what, because even though we're all getting back to a bit more normality now, and we're allowed to go out and see more people and do more things, there is still so many. I mean, we've still got tens of thousands of people watching us on a Thursday night, and they're not watching it because they're in a lockdown, they can't do anything else. It's become their routine. Like many people rush home from work to watch EastEnders or Coronation Street, people are rushing home on a Thursday night to watch the quiz. So I've said that will carry on no matter what, but it's opened up opportunities for me to have a look at things that I never thought might be possible. So I'm hoping to try and break into radio, because I think the great thing with radio is you can be behind a microphone, but there's not really cameras on you. So you're talking to people and you can still retain that sort of sense of anonymity. I can't remember who the presenter was, but he said it quite, he was quite happy that, he was walking down the road with someone, very famous, and they were talking to him and just completely forgot about the radio presenter because no one sees them.
No one sees them,
you're not.
Yeah. So you're putting out the message you want, but you're not receiving all the limelight and everything, which is good balance.
Yeah, you can talk, confidently and about personal things and whatever the show might be about, but also still retain that sense of anonymity that you're still doing something great for people.
Yeah, that's really good. I see you've got a Jay's Pub Quiz book there. So is that just a book of all your questions?
Yeah, that was book number 1 that came out October last year. So that's just and they were all brand new written questions again. There was some of the old quizzes, the historic quizzes, but the majority of the questions were all written for the book. Book 2 comes out in November, so they were very pleased with book 1. So book 2 comes out in November.
That's great. So. Do you ever sometimes just stop and think and say, how has all of this happened?
I've tried a couple of times, and it's just I think because I've been in this little bubble, for the last 18 months, where I've not really been out much. I've not really seen many people. And for me, I turn up on a Thursday and a Saturday. I've spent all week writing the quizzes for them, turn the camera on, and all I do is talk to a camera. And that's it. I then turn it off and then sort of go home. And I mean, we were talking the other day about some of the things, and there was some things that we've achieved over the last 18 months that even I'd forgotten about.
Right.
Accolades and awards and all sorts. And I mean, I'm grateful for every person who's nominated me for something, or because they have to have come from people. But I'm just more grateful to the communities that we've created, be it Facebook, Twitter, all of our social medias, Patreon, whatever it might be. I'm really grateful to them, because without those people playing the quiz every week, without them donating to charity, then we probably wouldn't. It probably would have lasted about 3-4 weeks. So I'm grateful to them. And they always say, well, without you, then we wouldn't be here. But it's that circle of life. So.
Exactly. No, that's really good. Everyone helping each other out. And do you find it, was it quite weird to start, because obviously you're not used to these big numbers people interacting? Did you feel kind of shy to start with? Now you're much more confident, or did you notice the progression of it all?
Yeah, I think the confidence is there a bit more now. In the early days, especially sort of like trying to fill silences, gaps in between, it'd be like, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about.
Mm.
But now I've got a lot better at being able to read things like through the YouTube live chat. Oh, someone's made a good point about, different types of cheese or whatever it might be, and being able to sort of formulate an opinion, but not worrying about what that opinion might be.
Right.
One of the rounds that I do is our general knowledge, which I finish off, and I pick out some current affairs, some of the lighter side of the news during the week. And I can, when I give the answer, I'm confident now to be able to formulate an opinion on it. Without sort of, before it might have been, well, there's the answer, and then move on. Now I can have a bit more of a conversation, and people have said you can see the confidence has grown in you since from where you started to where you are now. You're a lot better with talking to people and
Nice.
and sort of being able to express what you're actually thinking without fear of reprisals, I think is the right way.
And you can feel it in yourself as well, the confidence changing.
Yeah, I could feel. I mean, I still get embarrassed when. I mean, I was only in town a couple of weeks ago, and someone said, "Oh, my daughter's in Dubai. Would you mind having a selfie with me so I can send her the picture?" And because that hasn't happened that often, I think that still is where I need to grow with confidence and sort of, rather than just sort of, just go, "Oh, thanks very much," and go into my little timid shell and then run off as fast as I can. But and reaching out to people as well, because that's one of the things that I've never really done. I've never asked for help. I've never sort of put my hand up in the air and gone, "Oh, can you give me a hand with something?" Or,
Right,
"Oh, I really want to do this, but I don't know where to start. Can you help me?" And that, again, that's starting to grow now, but that's been really hard.
yeah. And so I, I don't know, it's crazy. What do you think it is about quizzes that just draws people in? Because you must have you've done a lot of quizzes now, so have you kind of noticed what kind of brings them all together?
I think it's twofold. I think one, it's brought people together. It's given people a reason to reunite across, not just in the UK but across the world. So, I know there's one of our regulars gets up in Sydney in Australia at 5 o'clock in the morning every
Wow.
Thursday to link back with their family in the UK. And I think that's been sort of the biggest part of it, has been helping people connect and stay together. I mean, there's a couple of our patrons get together with their friend but they don't play it live, so they play it the day after, but they still get together with their friend on Zoom and play it together. So I think that's a big part of it. But then we're competitive as a nation. It's built into us that something stupid as pushing a shopping trolley around the supermarket, and you want to race the person around the next corner. That's what is ingrained into us. We're always competitive. We always want to strive to be the best that we possibly can, as far as I think. And I think having, because we don't put up leaderboards and score tables and what have you. We just, ask for scores on the social media posts at the
Right,
end.
yeah.
And I think people being able to shout about their score, "Look at us, we got into the 40s tonight," or "We've managed to get 50 out of 50, aren't we brilliant?" It gives people that sort of competitive edge. And,
Makes sense.
I mean, it could have been, let's get together in a massive game of Monopoly with 180,000 people. I think, anything along those lines might have worked just as well.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's just crazy. And because, well, I want to say thank you again for coming on to mine and sharing your story with me, and a bit about my story is just about how the podcast came about and everything. It's in terms of one of my best mates who took his own life in Bristol University, which was obviously one of the worst times of my life. But even that brought lots of people together, and I think when people come together, great things do happen, and actions are then made based on what's happened to them before. So then a few of us had an idea of, well, maybe we'll create a podcast to try and get people talking, try and get people engaged. And I'm sure you've noticed the more that people come together, the more that people talk, and the better things can happen from it. So that's a bit of that's kind of why I'm doing it, really.
Yeah, I think sometimes out of tragedy, it does breed into, tragedy is never a good thing, but it opens people up to actually saying, do you know what, I need to ask for help, or I want to, you know, I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to someone. And we do, I think, because I've experienced, you know, my fair share of tragedy over my lifetime, and I think that it does happen that it re-engages you, that you don't want to miss out on a friend, or you know, you want to check in with people, and just, I think that's the thing we don't do often enough, is just literally pick up the phone. In this day and age where everything's just such a rush, we don't just sort of pick up the phone and go, I've not heard from you a couple of days, are you okay? Just want to check in. And I think if we did that a bit more, I think, you know, I think empathy seems to really be fading from a lot of people in the UK at the moment. And I think if we were just a little bit more empathetic, I think we could stop a lot more, you know, tragedies like, you know, like your friend. It could have just been, you know, just something simple as, you know, needing someone to go, are you okay? And it'll open up, because people don't open up. You know, I wouldn't pick up the phone to a friend of mine and say, I need to talk. I need, you know, you need that prompting of someone to say, are you okay?
Why do you think, because in a world where we're so connected at the moment, if you look, we're complete strangers and we're talking right now, we're all so connected, yet we seem very distant when it comes to opening up or talking to people. Even though we have the tools to do it, why do you feel like we still struggle to?
I I used to be landlord in a pub for many years, and I had a lot of people would open up and talk to me because there was a bar between us, if that makes sense. So they could sit at the bar, have that conversation, walk away, and it could be forgotten about tomorrow.
Right.
And I do think that a lot of people, I mean, it's starting to change now, but there's a lot of people who still think it's taboo to say, I need help, I've got a problem, I need someone to talk to, because whether or not we feel embarrassed that that person that we reach out to, you know, might not be interested or might not want to help, or what have you. And yeah, and that's been, I think that is one of the things that we do need to overcome. I mean, I know there's a great help group in just outside of Darwin in Blackburn, at Blackburn Football Club, and I think they meet every Monday, and it's a men's mental health, and it makes it quite clear it's no judgment, nothing is off the table. You don't need to register, you don't need to tell us you come in, you just arrive, have a coffee, and there will be people to talk to. And but then I just think that it's a fantastic idea, but it's still strangers. We still need to overcome that, being able to talk to you know, friends, family, and be able to talk to them openly about what's happening with ourselves. But things like that really will help, because they should then start to ease people into being able to talk openly about. And I don't think we should ever be afraid of talking and opening up and saying what we really think, because if people want to judge you on that, then in my eyes, shouldn't really be a friend, you know, in a friendship group.
Exactly. And because you're talking about strangers and friends, and it is weird. Why do you think it's easier for people to talk to, like, sometimes a stranger than someone that's like the closest person to them?
I think whether or not it's because whether, you know, you talk to that stranger, have a conversation with them, you might never see them again. So if they judge you, you're never going to know about it. They might not know. It's almost sort of like a bit of therapy, but
and it can't kind of come back around through friends and stuff. It's just kind of they're done, dusted, and then
yeah, and you can sort of, you know, they might give you a bit of advice. You know, it becomes a, you know, two-way conversation. You might help them out a bit, and then you might never see them again. Or you might then develop a mutual respect, a mutual friendship there, and then you've got a strong bond and a strong tie with someone that, you know, that could then help you. You know, for like Alex, you know, behind the scenes with me, has become a friend, a very good friend over the last 18 months. And I've had some massive struggles with things like the trolls and issues and problems, and, you know, trying to pick myself up from, you know, the pressure and the state that I've been in at times, and you know, I don't think I can do this anymore. And he has been able to pick me up through that. But you know, this would have been 6-9 months in. We didn't know each other at all before any of this started, and he's become a confidant. And I think that's where these kind of things happen. You know, it's easier to talk to a stranger because you never know, you might not ever see him again. But then how do we ever become friends with anyone? We always start by talking to a stranger, be it in school, be it in a pub, you know, a shop, whatever it might be. Everyone's always a stranger to us before we become a friend.
Exactly. And I think it's good that you're promoting people talking and making friends and be feeling open to talk about it, because obviously that's seems like quite a key issue. And I know because of everything you've been doing, I'm sure you've been in, like, a lot of people have reached out to you. Have people reached out to you and kind of told you kind of their issues and how like the quiz has helped and stuff like that? Have you heard quite a lot of emotional stories?
Yeah, we've had lots of stories. We've had anything from, we lovely story about how two people who knew each other but didn't know each other very well got together through the quiz and are now in a relationship, because
Nice.
they had the mutual interest in a quiz, all the way through to, there's a friend of mine, Haley, who recently got in touch and said that I don't think you realize what you'll never really realize what you did for my mum, who was isolating all the way through. And because of the quiz, we could all get together and it kept her going, even like the little specialist quizzes and stuff like that I was doing. So it kept her going, kept her mum going. And she's eternally grateful for that, because she feels that, had it not been for the quiz, what would it have been that kept them all going? So, I hear them all the time, really inspirational stories
Mm.
about how it's connected people, it's kept them going, it's given them routine, structure, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
People counting down the days. Oh, is it only Monday? Oh, I've still got 4 days to go. Right. Oh, it's Thursday. Brilliant. We've got a quiz tonight. And
That's good.
those are the stories that if this all stopped tomorrow, those are the things, the awards, the accolades are wonderful and I love them to bits, but knowing that I've actually helped in some small way over the last 18 months to make people's lives different, that is something that I will take with me forever.
Yeah, it must be priceless, because to know and hear these stories back of like literally lives that you've changed, and even bringing two people together, they start a family. That's because of you. Like you, it must be quite crazy, sometimes overwhelming, emotional, mix of emotions, kind of just, and then a constant pinching of the arm saying, "Is this even all real?"
Yeah, I still think I'm going to wake up in March 2020 again, and it's sort of like, by the way, this is what could have happened, and sat there with my phone in my hand, getting ready to create this event on Facebook, and now I've sort of seen what's going to happen. Do I push yes or do I push no to post it? So,
That sounds like a good idea for a movie.
yeah, yeah, do you, sat there watching it, and then you see what happens, then come back to it and go, do you do it or not? Yes or no? So,
No, but yeah, this must be crazy. I can't even imagine what it's like to have this it's your baby, isn't it? It's something you've created, you and your friend, and now Rebecca as well. That just kind of working together. I'm surprised there's only three of you, even though it's quite a big thing that's happening.
yeah, well, it was only Alex and I for quite a while, up until about sort of October last year, when I invited Beck into the team. And I know I've known Beck. She's a very, very good friend of mine. We've known each other for over 7 years, nearly 8 years now. And I knew that she was very good with social media in our where we worked together before. So I thought, this is the perfect person. She's ideal for this. She'd be absolutely brilliant. Um, but yeah, the three of us do work really hard. I mean, Alex is deputy CEO for Diana Award, so he's
Wow.
constantly working with them. He's working 5 days a week solidly with them. Beck works in a school,
Nice.
5 days a week, so they're both working on this outside of their own full-time jobs. And then this is my full-time job. I'm here sort of 24/7 writing and meeting
Right.
up with people and doing
And
stuff. So
before this, like the pub quiz, what were you doing before that then?
so before I had with a business partner, we had a pub that we gave the keys back to. Really, really sort of, how everything pans out in the way. We were heartbroken when we gave the keys back on the 6th of March in 2020, and went, there we go, that's the keys back. And yeah, I mean, in the pub I used to run, the quiz night. I used to host the quiz night, so I say it was the best night of the week. We had some great teams coming in, and I always looked forward to Thursday night. It was my night. Wasn't sat behind the bar. I could have a few drinks, and friends of mine came in, and it was great fun. Yeah, when we gave the keys back on the 6th of March, we were absolutely devastated. And for a couple of weeks, we were sat there thinking, what do we do now? What do we do now? And up pops
Yeah.
up pops just a crazy idea, and lo and behold, we're still here now.
Would you have any idea of what you would be doing instead if this didn't take off, or if this didn't even happen?
No, I had managed to go back into work. I'd got sort of a job with an old friend of mine working in back in the motor trade, because I've worked in the motor trade as a salesman and sales manager for many years before I went working in pubs. And you know, I mean, even that probably wouldn't have held on, because I know the franchise group that I worked for had laid a lot of people off. Now, me having only been in the company for about a week when, you know, everything was shut down, I don't think I would have been with them. So probably coming up with some harebrained, you know, scheme of trying to, you know, do something. I've turned my hand to so many things, and I'm never one who's afraid to try anything new. So you know, I'm more than, I mean, to be fair, with, you know, the first lockdown and really not being able to do much, I'd probably have just gone straight into working in a supermarket or what have you, just to keep myself going and, you know, get out there. I mean, my wife works for the NHS, so, you know, I know how hard they were all working through lockdown. Got a lot of friends who work in retail, so I know how hard they worked, you know, through lockdown. So, you know, if I hadn't been doing this, I probably would have gone and joined them in retail.
Yeah, nice. But but luckily it did happen. You're living the dream now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an incredible journey that, you know, the last 18 months have been. And but I'm just eternally grateful for some of the, you know, the best friends that I could possibly, you know, wish for, you know, that have always supported and always got my backs for everything. And, you know, family as well, who, you know, will always support, you know, with everything. And that's what I'm really, really grateful for, is that I've got those people that if it is going really badly, I can always turn to them and get their advice and help.
Nice. What do you think has been the kind of biggest motivator to like keep on going? Because I'm sure at times you must have felt like doing this every week is getting on top of you a bit. There's a lot of demand for it. What's been like the biggest motivator for you?
It's the audience. And I mean, I don't get hung up on the numbers anymore. You know, I've stopped worrying about how many people are watching. And I made the joke, I always make the joke that, you know, I'd keep doing the quiz until there was only one person watching, and it would probably be my mum, who'd be the last person watching. And every time I say that, so many people come back going, no, I'm going to be the last one. I'm going to be the last one.
Nice.
So I'm not overly worried, you know, if I turn on a Thursday night and there's 30 people watching or 30,000 people watching, it's not about that anymore. It's about whoever is watching, making sure that I'm continuing to do what I do. You know, I had a big problem on Saturday night's quiz where I had a power cut. Wow. As I was giving out the answers to the final 2 rounds, and I had a power cut. So once I realized what had happened, the first thing I did was jumped onto my phone, went onto Facebook and went Facebook Live to continue the quiz and give over the answers. And the amount of people who messaged and said, quick thinking, unbelievably professional. Most of us would have just gone, stuff that, I can't be bothered, locked the door and given up. But I didn't. I had the tenacity to go, I've started, you know, a bit like Mastermind, I've started, I will finish, and made sure it finishes off. And that's kind of what I want to do. I'm not worried about the numbers. I want to make sure that the quality is there for the people that are.
I'm sure they notice that, because that's why people keep coming back again, because they're coming back for you. They're coming back for the hospitality and the general welcomeness that you bring and warmth that you bring into each people's rooms every time you do it.
I think, yeah, that's one of the things that the constant thing that comes up is that I've not changed who I am over the last 18 months. I am still the same idiot that turns up on a Thursday and a Saturday night, asks 50 questions. There will be spelling and grammatical errors on screen. You know, I'll put the wrong answer up. I'll give an answer away. You know, I just don't, you know, I'm professional in the fact that I'm, you know, like, you know, amateurs competing at the Olympics, if that makes sense. But I just don't take myself seriously. That's and, really good, yeah. You know, if I started trying, you know, started believing in any hype or what have you, it wouldn't be the same. So I'm still myself. You know, my wife, I come home from the quiz, she doesn't even ask, you know, or how many people watching or this, that, and the other. Yeah. You know, the only thing she's bothered about is if I ever get the opportunity to speak to Shane Phelan, from Westlife, she wants to be in the background so she can speak to him, because she absolutely loves him to bits. But, you know, she's not, you know, she has people at her work and people she speaks to going, oh, I can't believe you're the wife of, of Jay, and we did an in-person quiz a while back where people were wanted photos with her, and she's like, why me? I've not done anything. I've not even been on camera. It's all about him. And like, yeah, but you're the person who, who's behind him. So,
yeah, that's really nice.
I've just stayed me, which, to be fair, I wouldn't even know how to be anything other than who I am. People say that to me, you must be different off camera. I'm like, no. I turn up, I do what I do, I turn it off, I'm still the same person.
That's good. Yeah. I feel like we need. Oh.
There we go, you're back.
Don't know what happened there.
I thought you were waiting for me to finish off.
No,
and I was like,
I think my internet just went then. That was weird.
Friends of mine say, we're so glad that you've not changed. You are still the same person that you are. And I've just made a joke about, Greatest Showman, that song, This Is Me. That is it. I turn up, speak on camera, and then turn it off. I'm still the same person. I'm not sort of off camera barking for Costa coffees from assistants or anything like that. I'm
snapping your fingers saying, where's my latte?
This is it. I am completely and utterly myself.
I think people can see that, and that's what draws people in, because they know you're genuine, they know you're a nice guy, and it's nice to just have that consistency. Yeah. Well, I think we'll cut it there. Thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hello to the Massey family. How are you all? Hope you're all well. Thank you very much for being a part of our community, for playing the quiz, and for being you guys. You'll have to let us know your scores as well. Stick on us on our social media post. As always, for me, stay safe.
Thank you very much. It really means a lot. Really good to chat to you, man. Thank you very much for this.
You too. Pleasure. Let us know when it comes out, and we'll stick it on our socials as well.
Definitely.
Get people.
I'll get a little fist bump through the screen. Lovely, man. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Take care, pal. See you soon.